Hello there and welcome back to my channel. I make several videos a week all about cruelty-free beauty, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then I hope you will please consider subscribing. Now, I have seen this video idea popping around a couple of times on YouTube where if someone lost all of their makeup products, what items would they replace first? And I had so much fun going through my makeup collection and pulling out products that I know for sure I would want to repurchase if I lost them. It is also kind of challenging because there are some products in each category that it was really hard to narrow it down to just one. I initially had picked out 3 in each category and figured that was way too much, just tone it down to just 1 of each. Now, there are no limited edition products, of course, included, so my beloved Hourglass palettes are not in the video, sadly. I wish they were permanent because they would definitely be something I would repurchase. But if you are interested in seeing what I would repurchase, I hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, the very first thing that I always start out with, but I usually do this right after I finish my skincare, is my brows. And I only have one product that I would repurchase, and that is the e.l.f. Brow Lift. I've repurchased this several times by now. It's my go-to. It's the only product that I currently use in my brows, so this would definitely be the first thing I'd purchase. And following along the order I do my makeup routine, the next step would be eyeshadow primer, and I would definitely buy the Milani eyeshadow primer again. I love this one. I've loved it for years. I think it just does such a nice job with your eyeshadow. Now, it doesn't really like blank out your eyes or anything like that, so if you have any discoloration that you like to cover, this probably is not the best option, but it's one of my all-time favorites. For eyeshadow, I knew exactly which palette I would pick out. I love this palette so much. I'm really surprised that I haven't hit pan on any of the shades quite yet, and that is the ColourPop That's Taupe eyeshadow palette. I mean, these colors are just so very pretty. They're pretty cool tone shades. This shade is more of like a neutral shade, so I do like to use that for on days where maybe I don't want a cool tone or a warm tone and just want to throw something quite neutral in my crease. But I think this is a well-rounded palette, and it's one I would repurchase over and over. I'm first going to go in with the shade Boa on this fluffy brush from e.l.f. And I'm just going to start running that through my crease, kind of on this outer edge too. It was so hard to pick out some of these favorites because there are several things in each category that I really love so much, and I would purchase all of them if I could, but I didn't want to make the video too long, and I said, well, just pick one out of each. Okay, on that same brush, I'm going to go in with the shade Pebble Beach, putting that in the same place in my crease and on this outer edge of my eye. But, you know, it was so hard to pick from certain categories, like, especially between Rare Beauty and Merit. I love both of those brands so much because they're kind of like the aesthetic that I go for on a regular basis. So, you know, having to narrow down to one, it was hard to pick their products. It really was, between the two of them, because they both have very well-rounded, everyday staple items. And the last shade I'm going in with is the shade Python on that same brush. And just doing the same thing, stamping it first on this outer portion, and then with what's left, run that through the crease. But you know, it was really fun going through my makeup collection and really thinking about the products that I would repurchase. It kind of just really makes you think what your everyday staples are. I will admit that I pulled out 3 of each category, except for maybe like the brow and the eyeshadow primer category, but like for eyeshadow palettes, for blush, bronzer, all that, I pulled out 3 of each, but I said just to keep this video from being too long, I want to just pick one. Then I'm going to take the shade Snake Eyes and just start putting that on the inner portion of my lid and about halfway through. This is a look I've done so many times with this palette. I do a similar look about most every time because it's just kind of like my go-to. It's just simple, it's quick. And I think that's one thing I love about this palette. You don't have to like really think about the look you're gonna do. It's just laid out nicely for you. Like, they put the mattes from lightest to darkest, so you know, you see where your mattes are, you see how you can add depth to your eye looks. And then they just put the 3 shimmers in the center. It's just a simple, easy palette. It definitely deserves every bit of hype. Okay, I will say that I'm cheating a little bit on the mascara because even though I tried to narrow it down to one, I love both of these and they're very different. One is just, you know, a regular mascara, and one's a tubing formula. And I thought about it. I said, realistically, I probably would purchase these both at the same time instead of just picking one or the other. And that is the Rare Beauty mascara, which I have a mini size, and the Merit tubing mascara. I think both of these are really nice. You can't go wrong with either of them. It just depends on what you're looking for in a mascara. Neither of them smudge or flake on me. They last all day. They hold a curl. So I just said I'd use both of them. I'm just going to do the Rare Beauty on the top, and then I will do the Merit on the lower lash line when it's time to do that. I'm not going to curl my lashes or anything because I am going in with a pair of falsies. So this is really just to add a little coat of mascara, so I'm not going to really worry about how they look. I have several pairs of favorite false eyelashes that I would go for, but I narrowed it down to these. These are from the brand Ioni. These are the 3D foaming lashes in the style Natural Light Wispy. I just think these are perfect. They're not too dramatic, but they're not too simple. They're kind of like a perfect in-between lash. So I'm going to apply these off camera, and I will be right back. Okay, I have those on. They're just really pretty lashes. And while I was putting my lashes on, I completely forgot to mention that the lash adhesive I would repurchase is this one from Kiss. This is the Kiss Strip Lash Adhesive, the clear one. And always, after I wear false eyelashes, I love to go in with a liquid liner right in the inner corner. And the one I definitely would repurchase is the one from Rare Beauty. This one just stays put all day. It's really nice and black. I don't have any problems with it really smudging. So I just like to take it and fill in that little space right here, just so my false lash kind of blends in with my regular lash. Now the next thing would be for primer, and this one was a pretty easy one for me because I've always loved this one, and that is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, just the original one. I love this one, and as you can see, I have hit pan in this one, and I already have a backup on standby. I just like to take my sponge and just kind of swirl it in there, and then just start kind of pressing it in my T-zone. I find that this is mostly where I like to wear primer, is in this area. And while I'm letting my primer sink in, I'm just going to go back to my under eye area, and for sure the corrector that I would pick up again is the Smashbox and Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This one is in the shade Fairlight. I love this one. I have tried a drugstore version now, and it's good, but I feel like if you wanted to splurge on a corrector, it's definitely worth it, because I've been using this same little pot for a while now, so it does last. You don't need a ton of it, and it's just the one that I go back to time and time again. And for my complexion products, this was another difficult thing for me because I do have several foundations or tinted moisturizers that I really love, but when I really kind of compared them, I feel like the one that I would pick up again, and they really market it as not a foundation or a concealer, but I think it's just an easy product, and that is the Merit Minimalist complexion stick. I just really love this. I use it on almost like an everyday basis if I'm not doing a look for Instagram or filming. It lasts all day on me. It's very nice. It's really creamy, and I only really apply it in certain areas, just under my eyes and kind of around my nose area where I can get a little bit of redness, and that's really the only place that I apply this. I just like to do a little bit and then blend it in with my finger. Then I just apply a little bit in this area and blend that in. And that's really the only places I wear it. And I think that's one reason why I picked it out over the other tinted moisturizers that I pull from my collection. I just love how quick and easy this is. Just put it on in those few little places that you need and you're all done. I did want to share a concealer I will repurchase, and that is the Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. It's really funny about this one. I used not to like this the very first time I used it because I felt like even though it was the hydrating version, I still felt like it was very heavy. But if you use just the teeniest dot, it looks beautiful on the skin. Okay, just to go ahead and finish up my lower lash line, I'm going to take those same matte shades that I used on my lid, the shades Boa, Pebble Beach, and Python, on this little detail crease brush, and I'm just going to mix those and run it on my lower lash line. Just dipped in each of them once because I don't want my lower lash line to be too dark. And for my lower lashes, I'm going in with that Merit Tubing Mascara. I know, but I could not decide between the two of them. I love both mascaras. I think both of them have something about them that are worth the price point if there's something you're interested in. Okay, and there are the eyes all done. Okay, for like bronzers, blush, and highlighters, I pulled both a cream and a powder, well, with the exception of highlighter, but I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to first start out with the cream bronzer that I would definitely pick up first, and that is the Rare Beauty bronzer stick. This one is in the shade Power Boost, and this one is in the lightest shade. I'm going to take that bronzer stick, and this is the mineral powder brush from e.l.f., but I like using it for like complexion products. So I'm just going to rub that on here and then just start placing that down. I had a hard time picking between this one, the Merit Cream Bronzer as well, because I think both of them are very nice bronzers. They both blend in really nicely. They both kind of can look pretty natural and you can build them up. The Merit one might be a little bit more on the natural side. It might blend in a little bit more to your natural skin tone than this one does. And for my cream highlighter, this is the Day Glow Highlighting Balm in the shade Kava from Merit. Now, I really love the Rare Beauty highlighters as well, but there is just something about this one that I just love. It's so pretty and glowy, but it still looks so natural on the skin. And the Rare Beauty ones can too, don't get me wrong, but I think that this would definitely be the one I'd purchase first if I'm choosing between the two. I just like to do a big C on the side of my face and then just kind of rub that in because you can see that, how pretty that is. And for my blush, well, now this would be a liquid blush. This is the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, and in my favorite shade, which is Happy. This one is just so pretty. This is just my favorite shade. I think that you definitely can't go wrong with this really pretty pinky shade. So I'm just going to take that and kind of tap my sponge into it a little bit and then start applying it. I mean, just look at that pretty color. Oh my goodness. For the cream and liquid blush category, I knew for sure I'd go for this one. And I do really love the Merit ones as well. The Merit cream ones, but I knew I'd go for Happy. This is my favorite shade out of all the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. I just think this one is just so pretty and just wakes your whole face up. I'm kind of keep it toned down though because I am going in with powders over the top. Now for powder bronzer, I had a few that I really love, but you know, kind of like with every category, this was a very hard video to do. I love it because it was a challenge, but it's hard to pick favorites from each category when you're really a huge makeup lover like I am. But the one that I kept going back to is this one from House Labs. This is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer in the shade Light Level 1. It is the perfect shade for my skin tone. I love it. I mean, it's one that I use constantly. As you can see that the mirror is very dirty, I like to swirl my brush in and then tap off the excess up here so it's very dirty. But this is the one I would definitely go for. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and tap off the excess to that mirror again so not have too much because I do have already a cream bronzer on. But I could not just do either cream or powder. I had to do both because I love them both. Some days I feel like wearing a powder, some days I'd want a cream, and then there are some days where I'd want both. I'm not really a powder highlighter person. I much prefer creams and liquids when it comes to those. I do have some I like in my collection, but I feel like that's not a category I'd be rushing out to rebuy an item from, so I just wanted to skip over that one. Now, for blush. Oof, this was a hard category because I have so many powder blushes that I love, but I went with one of my very favorites, and that is the Bare Minerals Bronzer in the shade Kiss of Pink. Now, I know that they market these as a blush and a bronzer, but I just see them as a blush, and this is my favorite shade. This just gives me a peachy pinky warmth. Even though it says Kiss of Pink, I feel like it has a little bit of peach to it, at least on me. I don't know how it might look on someone else, but I love this one. I used to use it constantly. I actually keep it in a little makeup bag here on my little table every time I get ready in case I want to use this one. I'm going to do the same thing. I like to swirl and then I like to tap off the excess into the little cap part. And then we're just going to apply that over. I don't know how these might match because they might be a little bit different, but you know what? Might make a very pretty combo. which I think they are. A very pretty pinky peach combo. And I'm going to tone down the center in a minute when I talk about the powder. I'm going to kind of go ahead and get the color of this blush down, and then I'll fix kind of like in this inner portion. For powder, that was very easy. My Rimmel Stay Matte Pressed Powder. I love this one. As you can see, I've hit quite a big pan on it. I already have a backup waiting for me. So this was pretty easy to pick out. And I'm just going to take that and go into my T-zone a little bit. Just kind of around that blush right in here too. Kind of tone that down a little bit. Okay, my camera cut me off. I don't know where it did, but I was just putting this powder in my T-zone. And for my lip combo, this one was also a very easy one because I use these products constantly. It is, for the lip pencil, it is my NYX Slim Lip Pencil in the shade Natural. I love that shade so much. It's my go-to for every single day. For my lipstick and lip gloss, for the lipstick, it is the e.l.f. Eau Face Satin Lipstick in the shade Dirty Talk. I love that one. It looks like that. And for gloss, this is the Lights Lacquer Jelly Balm Lip Lacquer in the shade Alyssa. I just love this pretty pinky tone. I just think it's so pretty. It looks like that. I just love that shade. It's kind of like a Your Lips But Better shade. And then, of course, the shade Dirty Talk. My Alyssa gloss. And that is my perfect everyday lip combo. I think the three of them just look beautifully together. And the last thing that I would repurchase, but it's not really a huge deal to me. I don't really wear setting spray like after I finish my face and then spray it all over. I usually just spray my brush or my sponge with it when I go in with my foundation. But I definitely would repurchase the Rare Beauty 4-in-1 setting spray. I do think this one is very nice and it helps blend in your foundation to your skin really lovely. I didn't use it today since I use that Merit stick, but when I'm wearing my other foundations, this is usually my go-to for spraying my brush. That is everything, and here is the finished look for all the items I would replace. These are products that I love very much, that I've used for quite a while, and I know how they wear on me. They're beautiful on the skin. I never had any issue with them, and they make me feel very pretty. So if you did make it this far, thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.